But it's in that moment that people respond and tell me that's okay, that's an okay place to start. I think the first song was Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy because it was a country group.
Okay.
But they'll tell you, and generally you might have a quiet room at the beginning because people are talking and interacting and catching up.
Unbelievable how fast a week goes. It's already time for another Mobile Music Thursday, and I'm really excited about my guest this week. He's a guy that I've known for a lot of years. I've admired his radio career. It's been long and varied, and he's still at it in radio, but all the while during that time, he too, just like you and I, have been doing the mobile entertainment career with mobile DJing and emceeing and hosting and that sort of thing for many, many years as well. Who am I talking about? I am talking about Dave Winsor. He has a company called Winsor Entertainment, located in Portland, Maine area. Does weddings and corporate events, and done it for many, many years. And also does the morning show for 99.9 The Wolf in Portland, Maine, as well as the former executive producer for the Philadelphia Phillies and the Arizona Cardinals. Dave, welcome to Mobile Music Thursday. I'm so excited to finally have you on the show.
Thank you, Jeff. No, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that.
See, that's what happens when I talk to people that are so famous that they don't remember my name.
No, absolutely not. I do. Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
This is great. So let's begin kind of where I like to begin with everybody, and let's really look at when you go to an event, and maybe think about the last wedding that you did, and you think about kind of your game plan for your music kind of overall for the night, like kind of where you're going to want to go with the crowd, what you're going to want to try to achieve with them, and then we can get into some of the specifics on how you really customize it and really zero in on both what your clients want as well as how to keep those that are in attendance engaged and excited about what you're playing.
I think it's not so much different than radio programming, and it all starts with the couple for me. So when I sit down with a couple at the first time, I ask them what remember the music Genome when it first came out? It was a bunch of circles, and it was like soul would be here, R&B would be here, hip hop would be here, and some of them would overlap. And so that for me that visual gave me how to get from genre to genre and be smooth about it. And so when I sit down and talk with a client and a bride and groom, I ask them, I say, okay, so what's important to you? When did you graduate high school?
Yeah.
That gives me the meat, that gives me the database of relevant years for them, for their hairbrush songs, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys.
I love that, hairbrush songs.
Yeah, because all the girls will be like grabbing anything, a spoon, they'll be singing into a spoon. So it doesn't matter. So for me, I see what they do, where they are in the timeline of music. And then outside of that must play, do not playlist, kind of play if you can. Then you get other things that you've got most people in the audience of age ranges, or I don't know, you might have a group that's really heavy on the younger end and not so heavy on the older end.
Sure.
So music direction will be dictated by them. I call it the pig and the python. The tail is 0 years, the head is 80 years, and where's the biggest part of the python?
Sure. And so how do you like to set up your music? Like, how do you typically like to start an event?
With nothing in my
your
playlist.
First dance. What's that?
With nothing in my playlist.
With nothing in your playlist. Okay, got it. Perfect. So you're starting an event, you've had the spotlight dances, and now it's time to start dancing.
Oh, I was there. I was just at the cocktail hour. That's where I start.
Okay, let's back up. Let's go to cocktail hour.
Well, because I think that leads into giving a certain impression of what the night is going to be through the cocktail hour. And it's not that you overtake the cocktail hour, but you provide a soundtrack to it that's meaningful, fun. If you play the Soggy Bottom Boys, then maybe they're going and you're in a country environment, and they're kind of like, oh, I haven't heard that in ages. That's really cool. Or Hey See Dixie, Back in Black, or something silly that will get their attention and let them know it might be a little bit different.
Sure.
Then into dinner time, it tends to quiet down a little bit more there because everybody starts to eat, and as you get to the end of dinner, then start to pick up the pace, and then go into dancing.
Are those how do you decide what you're going to play during that cocktail hour and during that dinner hour? I mean, there's a lot of different directions that you can go. Some are like, oh, we'll do a jazz set, or we'll do a set of oldies, or do you do it by genre and they choose, or do you use some other method to decide what you're going to play during that for that group?
I listen to see how loud the room is, If the room is really loud, I want to be right there, right underneath that energy. And that could be any genre of music. It could be it could be a Basha on Broadway. It might be Third Time Lucky, which is a great song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really orchestral and really big and really, it's just, gets people moving.
Mm-hmm.
I might pick that to support that energy level. And then if it's quiet, I don't want to be the loudest thing in the room, so I just sort of match them to a point where I feel comfortable with them. I think that's one of those things, and I think too, it's just how you feel about it.
Sure. So if the energy is like really low, it's kind of like very soft conversation. It's like relaxed and soft conversation and things like that. Then you'll match that energy in the room and play music that's like on the softer side, like, maybe like your Jewel or maybe some ballads or something like that.
One of the things about those rooms is they're really self-correcting. You could think about this. You could play the loudest piece of music you have that's in the, maybe you play, I don't know, play Morning Dance by Spyro Gyra.
Uh-huh.
And it may not fit at that moment, but somebody come by and say, like, can you turn it down a little bit?
Right.
They'll tell you, they'll self-correct you if you need it. And I hate when that happens, but it's also illustrative to me. It tells me that's where you need to be.
Well, yeah, and it's a gift because you can react and make a correction and try to, be fitting what that is.
Yeah, and you should do that during dances too, because you never know. You might roll something you think is going to be really hot, and then all of a sudden people are like, ugh. You may wind up killing the moment just by the wrong choice, and just get rid of it and do something different.
Sure. Do you ever but if the energy is really low in the room, do you ever try to use the music to try to push the energy up a little bit, or do you not go there?
I think you can do it, but you have to do it by step by step by step by step, and then just find them. But they'll tell you, and generally you might have a quiet room at the beginning because people are talking and interacting and catching up.
Yeah.
And and that's really as important as trying to lift the room up. Once they start weaving these bonds together, then you might be able to motivate them easier a little farther down the line.
Sure. And so what is the goal of, as you're, knowing what your purpose is and knowing what your goal is often really informative in terms of like the selections you're going to make for the audience that you're playing for and things like that. So what are you ultimately trying to achieve during cocktail and dinner?
To let them know, I want to be different than anybody else that's played before them in recent memory. So I don't mind playing some Steely Dan, Deacon Blues, if that's going to get them to a point where they're, oh yeah, I haven't heard this forever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is different. Normally everybody's like, or when, I can't say everybody, but when people start off, they want to play songs that have love in the title. Right. Or some love in there someplace. But there's sometimes you can just walk away from that and just, do a good jazz fusion set, which I'd have to pick when I'm looking in front of the computer and go, that would work good here. That's what I do. I don't walk in with anything pre-planned. I just sort of walk in and go, okay, this is what I might play some big band, some Sinatra. I might play Louis Armstrong, A Kiss to Build a Dream On, which is a great song that doesn't get played enough.
Mm-hmm.
I made Louis Prima, Is You Is, or Is You Ate My Baby.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of yeah.
Really great and surprising and not typical, like you said. Like it's very palatable. It's it's not obtrusive in any way. It has some good energy, and it has some familiarity to it too. Even if you don't like, oh, I've heard that on the radio a million times. It's kind of like, it's almost like comfort food.
Right. When they hear the song that everybody else is hearing and they're playing and they're burnt out in a little bit, I think you kind of lose them a little bit. But if you play 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a nice song. What was it, White Stripes? That's a great song. Plain White Tees, sorry. That's a great song to play too. And that you don't hear often enough. Or I would even play, what is it, Short Skirt, Long Jacket? Towards the end of a cocktail hour if it's appropriate at that moment.
Sure.
Short Skirt, Long Jacket, yeah.
Okay, cool. So then now let's move into the actual dance part. Now you really want to be able to not just like induce a feeling, but you want to motivate them to really want to get out on the dance floor and participate with you for a few hours of dancing to great music. So how would you, or even think back to an event that just to describe how you took them from wherever they were, because you mentioned with that music during dinner and things, you want to start transitioning and preparing them for the dance. So how did that go, and how does that look for you?
I might play towards the end of dinner "Do I Do" by Stevie Wonder. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a great song. It's very upbeat. It's got a lot of great jazz to it, and and then go from there and tell everybody, we just got done doing Cake. We did this, and let's dance floor's open. Come on out. And I might start with I don't know, a version of Mustang Sally that's updated. I don't know.
Hmm.
It depends on the group. It might be it could be an oldie, but it's something that for me it could be Usher's Yeah. I don't know. But it's in that moment that people respond and tell me that's okay. That's an okay place to start. I don't know. That first song is so critical, but it's a buildup of what I've seen in the room up until that point.
Sure. Well, let's think back to your last event,
Right.
and thinking about like that particular group. Now, you made a choice for a first song to play, and you based that choice off of what you were seeing in the room. So, what was that? Can you recall that process?
I think the first song was Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy because it was a country group.
Okay.
So for them, it just came out and they were like, woo!
Yeah,
And
they were
as
like,
soon as
that's
they all
something they
came
want to
up,
jump on right away.
yeah, and it wasn't a really taxing song for beats per minute. But, I would say that the weddings that I do, and it's not just because it's a country product, but it's more like where I am, that for me, it's a lot less dance-oriented music than it is oldies, rock, country, some new music, but it's more familiar stuff. And I think towards the end of the night, it gets more challenging. In other words, musically, not for me, but just for them. It gets
Okay.
more into dance music, for
So
instance.
it sounds like you play like very little current music, meaning the last, say, last 2 to 5 years.
No, I would say that comes in interspersed as I mix through genres, interspersed earlier in the night, less frequently. But as I get towards the end of the night, it might be timber, things like that. As you get more towards the end of the night, Mr. Saxo Beat because it's a great song.
Yeah,
Might
Mr.
be
Saxon, that's
Inor,
an awesome song.
Calabria, or that which mixes right into Pitbull's The Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
And then into Let's Get Loud by J Lo because it's all nobody dances to it. Nobody's hearing it enough. So, for me, I'm comfortable doing that. And they'll come up and they'll hear something and they'll feed back to me and go like, "How about this? Will I play Iggy? Yeah, absolutely. All about that bass? Absolutely."
Right, right, yeah, because and that's like so. Actually, it sounds like your mixes are informing your choices more than like, okay, here's my Katie Roar. I know that they like to sing along with Katie Roar, Katy Perry. I
Katy
know they like
Perry.
to sing Roar along with Katy Perry, or that's what
Right.
I call like girl anthems. Like it's like, oh, it's kind of slow. I think I'll play a girl anthem, so I'll get a gaggle of girls that'll come out and like stomp around and sing to it, and then kind of
Right.
get the energy going again, and that sort of thing. But it sounds like from what you're describing is that you let your mixes more inform where you're going to go next with a song that's going to fit with the energy to kind of carry that audience. Not necessarily then like, well, I know they'll really like this song, in
Right.
terms of popularity scale.
But I might go from Kiss by Prince to I Need You Tonight by NXS into Tainted Love into Rihanna's SOS into a new dance song that's upbeat.
Uh huh.
Because they all there's something in each one of them that matches before. I mean, SOS is sampled Tainted Love, and Tainted Love takes care of a whole genre of music for people, and so SOS takes care
Right.
of shit, it's Rihanna,
Right.
and then into something else. So remember when I was talking about the music genome? For me, I think sequentially that sort of allows me, or maybe I'm wrong about doing it this way, but it seems to work, is to go from genre to genre to genre based on how I can find those concentric circles that overlap influence wise
Sure.
and make it smoother.
And how long do you typically stay in a genre? Do you usually go like 3 songs, or does it totally vary? Maybe it's one, maybe it's three.
It depends if it's Here Comes the Hot Steppa, Let's Talk About Sex, Walk This Way, and then into a rock song for me.
Mm-hmm.
So you see what that would do for
Yeah.
me because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't get to be too long. It's 2 songs and then it changes a bit and
Right.
then it changes drastically.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's definitely an evolution.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's really insightful too. I mean, I think it really kind of, it lends, especially for somebody that's more hit oriented like I've been. It gives me kind of another point of view of like, well, why not look at this in terms of the whole arc of the path. Like I really like
Hmm.
that visual of the concentric circles. That's really cool. Dave, I'm going to ask you some personal questions now. This is
Sure.
personal opinion questions about your personal taste, like and dislike, okay? Are
Okay,
you
go
ready?
ahead. I'll hide myself.
All right. Is there a song for you that you really love that you wish were more popular or more people wanted to dance to?
That's a hard question. For me, it's like asking someone what type of ice cream they would make. Everybody knows what they like, Damn, that's a great. I really don't know. Nothing came. My truth is, nothing came right to mind to me.
Nothing popped up in your
No,
head.
no, it wasn't like right here going Beacon, say
Okay,
this name. It's not like that. I don't know why.
sure. So what is another song that is popular at dances that you end up playing frequently that you have no idea why or wish it weren't?
Happy.
Happy Pharaoh, you're done with Pharaoh Happy.
I think it's getting to that point where it was so happy that it's become actually a drone. You're just like, because I'm happy.
It's like the "Don't worry, be happy" syndrome,
Bobby McFerrin, yeah.
right? Like
It's like,
it's
but blurred lines still is strong.
yeah.
But happy is just, yeah, it's toast. I liked it. It was cute, but people aren't happy.
People aren't. You can only stand so much happy, right?
That's exactly right.
Awesome, Dave. Thanks so much for being on Mobile Music Thursday and sharing your insights. I do really, really appreciate it. And I'd love to have you back on the show some other time to talk about because it's what we do is always evolving and is always changing, and to get your insights sometime in the future. Would you do that?
Oh, absolutely, Jason. Thank you, my friend. I'm honored that you asked number one, and I hope I upheld your standards.
Absolutely. Maybe raise them just a little bit. Terrific.
Woohoo!
Thanks, Dave. That's it for another week of Mobile Music Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, it's a whole new DJ and a whole new style and something else and exciting for you. I still have my ebook that's available if you haven't checked it out. If you're trying to break into the bar business and do so and run a real profitable business, learn how to negotiate and bring more value than the next DJ so you don't get undercut, you just go to bardjsecrets.com and you can check that out. Until then, we'll talk to you again next week here on Mobile Music Thursday.